family. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased to be a contributor here on African Diaspora News Channel. As you come in, please make sure that you like, that you share, and that you subscribe to this amazing global network. Thank you so very much. Listen, beloved, we have some very, very interesting news. This is from USA Today, titled, COVID-19 Hate Crimes Bill to Fight Asian American Discrimination passes Senate. Y'all listen to this. The Senate passed with overwhelming bipartisan support a hate crime bill to address a drastic increase in violence and discrimination against Asian Americans during the COVID-19 pandemic. It says that it cleared the chamber in a 94-1 vote. It said it would expedite the Justice Department's review of the hate crimes and would designate an official at the department to oversee the effort. It's also, family, going to have coordination between local law enforcement groups and community-based organizations to facilitate awareness about the hate crime reporting and establishing an online hate crime reporting system in multiple places. It's all kinds of other benefits in there too. Then the White House issued a document directly from the White House at wh.gov, whitehouse.gov, where it says additional things that Joe Biden plans to do for the Asian community. And that includes, family, nearly $50 million in what they are calling for domestic violence and stuff like that they experienced basically during the period of the pandemic. Reparations. For those of you that don't know, those that were interned in camps in America in the Civil War, after the bombing of Pearl Harbor specifically, America was fearful because of Japan. So America rounded up Asian American, Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps for about 3 years, I believe is the time frame. Not that was right. It certainly wasn't. But they weren't dealing with chattel slavery. They weren't dealing with Jim Crow. They weren't dealing with black codes. They weren't dealing with the injustices of sharecropping. They weren't dealing with the new Jim Crow. They weren't dealing with the stuff that we've dealt with. We've experienced the worst treatment of any human being for longer than any other group. And those that experienced that received $20,000 in reparations. Ronald Reagan signed it. You got to ask yourself, what is it about the fact that in the Senate, to where they're practically equal in terms of Democrats and Republicans, of course, Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker. You cannot find the Republicans and Democrats to agree on anything, especially about a bill for just black people. But overwhelmingly, 94-1 for those that were able to cast votes. Both Republicans and Democrats voted for this bill. Family, let me tell you something. You got to ask yourself, when you see stuff like that, members from the oppressive and dominant societies, they're both in total agreement on stuff like this. You got to understand that there are different people groups that are coming into the country that are beneficial to the oppressive class in ways that we aren't. Do you all remember when Joe Biden disrespected the old dead, irrelevant, boule former civil rights leaders like Reverend Al Sharpton, members of the, old school members of the NAACP and Urban League and stuff? Remember, after they helped to get Joe Biden elected and Joe Biden was waiting to take his oath of office, they refused to even talk to any of them. So what did they do? The black bootlicks, they went on TV and exposed the fact that Joe Biden is ignoring them. They're not answering their calls. They're not talking to him and all this kind of stuff. And only after they embarrassed Joe Biden and Kamala and them did they finally have a Zoom meeting. And in their Zoom meeting, remember, Joe Biden was talking crazy like he was their pimp. Joe Biden was raising his voice. And what else did Joe Biden say? Y'all don't forget this. Joe Biden said that we are doomed. America's doomed. Not just because of black people, but because this country is going to be minority European soon. How many of y'all remember that?
My overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do in terms of raw numbers. We're going to have to be working with a whole group of people that, in fact, are the single most diverse democracy in American history and anywhere in the world. And we got to figure out how to unify this country.
I'm bringing that up in this context to let you guys know they're intentionally working with other people groups, ignoring Black people. And now we should call this the Asian Reparations Bill 2.0, because you gave them reparations because they were in the internment camps. But you haven't given Black folks reparations not one time. And for those of you that voted for them, when we told you guys do not vote for someone that refuses to tell you up front that they're going to do something specifically for Black people, now you understand why. You all are sitting up here jumping up and down, some of you excited because they're talking about studying reparations for Black people. They required no study for this little fast bill that they're giving to all the Asian communities. So not only are they going to get specific protections, they're also getting a big fat bag. And I told y'all a long time ago, that's what this was all about in the first place, because a lot of members of the Asian communities that were attacking Black people, disrespecting Black people in their salons, in their establishments, in their stores, in their gas stations, some Black folks, we've been successful in shutting down or severely affecting their monetary bags. That was one reason I told you they were scared, because of that power. Number two, I told you guys that during the pandemic, the Asian community lost a lot of money. Many of them come from other poor countries. So they come here to experience the American dream based on our bloody American nightmare. And because Black people are the ones that are the greatest allies to the Asian community, because we spend the most money with them. During the pandemic, they lost a lot of money, especially for their restaurants and some of their other establishments. So because of that, they hatched this plan. I'm saying this based on belief and information. They helped to hatch this plan to help get them a bag. But the only way Congress people could justify doing this and just outright hand them over nearly $50 million. That's another one of the things that the White House and Congress, your legislators are agreeing to do for them. That's something that the White House announced at whitehouse.gov. They're going to give them a 49.5, almost $50 million reparations. And you ain't got it one time, and we're the builders and the maintainers of America. They're studying your reparations, but they don't require that for them though. You better tag every CBC, every Congressional Black Caucus member. You find their names, organizations, and any other person that's relevant, and hold these fools accountable. And for those of you who were out there sitting up there talking about stop Asian hate and all this kind of stuff, you helped to get them momentum to make this happen while we're still waiting for us to get a bag and protections. The reason why they tried to blame us, they lied on us, they framed Black people and pretended like we were the ones that were really trying to attack them, like as if we were intentionally doing it as a community. Remember, we bust open that lie. I told you guys a long time ago, the reason they were doing that in the first place was to create the impression that they were under attack. And by creating that impression, that's what gave Congress cover to do what they did. Now watch this. While Black folks was running around here bucking up and down and crying and celebrating because of the Derek Chauvin conviction. And I'm not saying that's not good news. That's great. But there's nothing for us to celebrate, family. That's one out of a million other cases. And that is not going to substantially address the white supremacist system. Not only that, the man has not even been sentenced yet. We don't even know what we're looking at. Not only that, here's how we got tricked. while Reverend Al Sharpton and all those Crump and all them out there had folks crying and looking crazy because of the George Floyd stuff and focused on one case, they were working behind the scenes and they actually got a bill passed in the most bipartisan, acrimonious Senate ever. They managed to get the Democrats and the Republicans to do something that's never been done. Hardly for them. Now it's going to the House of Representatives, and as you all know, the House of Representatives, if they get most of the people to get on, it's very likely to pass there because the Democrats control that. And you know Joe Biden is going to sign it. Why am I bringing that up? They had us focusing and crying over one situation. That's important, that we support the George Floyd family. But while we were doing that, Black folks got so excited because of that one moment. And the Asian community was working behind the scenes to actually get legislation, protection, and money. Pay attention to the finesse. Now, how are you going to hold them accountable for this? We better make them pay at the polls. We better make Congress pay, Black Congressional Caucus folks pay, anybody else, your media folks. I need you all to ask Don Lemon, ask Joy Reid, ask Trevor Noah, ask all of those folks, Whoopi Goldberg, Sonny Hostin, any Black person that has any kind of decent platform, those there and on social media. Ask them how come they're not replaying that audio where Joe Biden was sitting there talking crazy to your old dead civil rights leaders and told them that America is doomed not just because of Black people. After we just delivered him the White House. How come they're not playing that? Why aren't they discussing? Because if Trump had said that, MSNBC, CNN would be making all kinds of crazy ratings for weeks at a time, bringing on all kinds of so-called Black talking heads and experts to talk about how racist he is and getting all kind of mileage out of a comment like that. Why aren't they bringing that to your attention? They're trying to replace us, family. And they're doing it because those of us in the Black grassroots were able to cause them to fear that percentage of us holding back our vote. They're trying to censor and stop our impact and influence in teaching our people and Black society at large that we are no longer just going to be political whores and give our votes to people who refuse to do anything for us. Our vote is for sale. We're not focused on being Republican or Democrat. We're focused on being Black first. And whoever is going to do something specific for Black people, that's who we're rolling with. Talk Black to me. My name is Vicki Dillard. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. Follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. That's Vicki. Join my weekly amazing spiritual mastermind course that I conduct once a week. Your life will never be the same. The testimonies have just been out of this world. Join for only $1. Clubvicki.com, clubvicki.com, and also follow me on my Facebook fan page at Vicki Dillard. Thank you so very much.
In search of a financial opportunity to pay off student loans, a young Black American woman moves to South Korea to work. As the author, Bootsy W. recalls culture shock and fun adventures in a country far from home. She's also faced with anti-Black racism and featureism, quickly learning that white supremacy is practiced not only by whites, but by those that are categorized as people of color. Based on her 10 years of living abroad, the book Ago Igo compares and contrasts Korea versus the United States on subjects such as code, communal living, racism, effective protests, global alliances, warrior class, music, political correctness, health, aging, money, and the coronavirus. This blunt memoir is uncomfortable, humorous, and educational. Help fight propaganda and mainstream agendas by picking up a copy of Ago Igo on Amazon.com.
Hello, everyone. Please make sure you subscribe to the African Diaspora News Channel app on these platforms.